What's up, guys? Before I start the video, I would like to point out that True Business Review is being ran by two people, me and my name's Dan, and then you might have noticed Mike in the other videos. So we're going to be doing our own separate videos, posting them on the same channel, and sometimes we're going to be collabing and talking about the same topic, as you may have seen in our draft review videos. So if you'd like to see more, just subscribe, like the video. Let's get into it. What's up, guys? Today I'm going to be predicting the Minnesota Vikings schedule. So this is a good team, but sometimes inconsistent because of Kirk Cousins. And they had a 10-6 record last year, got a wild card, surprisingly went to New Orleans and beat them in overtime, and then got absolutely destroyed by the 49ers. So this team is good, but I don't think they can win the Super Bowl, but I still believe they're going to have a really good record. So they're currently in the NFC North with the Packers, Bears, and Lions. And this division is going to be really random next year. I honestly have no idea who's going to win it, because I think any team in this division is going to be wild card good next season. So looking at the Vikings schedule, let's start with the away games. So first they play the Chicago Bears in Chicago. So I do believe that the Bears are like natural counters for every team in their division because they're the Bears and their defenses are really good. But I don't think the Bears are going to be that good next season just because their offense is kind of wobbly. Mitchell Trubisky versus Nick Foles, who's going to start? I bet like in a couple of those Bears games, they're going to like split half times or something. It's going to be really random. And I just think the Vikings are going to outcompete the Bears in Chicago and get the W. So next they play the Detroit Lions in Detroit. So this is either 50-50, but I'm going to give the Lions the win. And I do say this because I know the Lions weren't really that good last season because Matt Stafford was injured more like 70% of it. But Matt Stafford this year is going to be really good. Lions lost Darius Slay, but they still compete really hard against the Vikings, and I would not be surprised if they win this game, which is why I'm going to pick them to win it. So next they play the Green Bay Packers. And this rivalry has been pretty good the last couple of years, and it's been favorably won by the Green Bay Packers. It kind of sucks for the Vikings, but since it's in Green Bay, I'm going to have to give the Vikings the L and the Packers the W. One thing about the Vikings is that they lost Stephon Diggs, Mackenzie Alexander, and Xavier Rhodes in the offseason, and those are three really good players that impacted their team. So it's a big rip for them. And they filled in these gaps in the draft by drafting Justin Jefferson, which was a really good pick. So I don't expect the offense to be that bad, but it's going to be a problem maybe the first, second, third week of the season. We'll see. So like I said, I'm going to give the Packers the win. So next they play the Houston Texans in Houston. Unfortunately, since it's in Houston and I know Houston's a pretty solid team, I'm going to give the Texans the win. I can see the Vikings win this game easily, like no doubt about it. But it's just the fact that it's in Houston. The Texans already are a good team. They almost beat the Chiefs in the playoffs. Their offense, they lost DeAndre Hopkins, got David Johnson. I don't understand that trade. But the Texans aren't a bad team. They got Deshaun Watson, really good QB, J.J. Watt, defense, good defense for the most of the part. Not really, but we'll see. I do believe the Vikings could win this game, but I don't think they will. I think the Texans, since it's at home, will get the W. So next they play the Indianapolis Colts in Indianapolis. I do believe the Vikings are going to win this one. I do not think the Colts are a good team. And just because they got Phillip Rivers doesn't mean they're good. We saw the Vikings absolutely destroyed the Chargers last year, so no problem for the Vikings. Should be an easy win, and Philip Rivers garbage team, easy win for the Vikings. So next they play their wild card matchup once again in New Orleans. They play the Saints, and I do believe that the Vikings are the Saints' kryptonite in the playoffs. But we saw this before, where after the Indianapolis Miracle, the season after that, they played the Saints again, and the Saints beat them, stomped on them. And since it's in New Orleans, they should win this game. The Saints should. But if these two play in the playoffs again, I do believe the Vikings will win it. So it doesn't really matter about the offseason. I'm saying the Vikings are better than the Saints just because they counted them. But since it's in New Orleans and the Saints got Emmanuel Sanders, I'm going to give the Saints the win. I really don't want to see it, but it's just a common sense pick. So next, they play the Seattle Seahawks. In Seattle, we saw this on the Monday Night Football game last year, and it was honestly a big choke for Kirk Cousins. I think the Vikings were leading for most of that game. It was alternating back and forth, and Kirk Cousins just wasn't clutch in prime time. This game's probably going to be in prime time, and the Seattle Seahawks are going to win. I do think the Seahawks are going to win the NFC West, so I'm going to have to give the Seahawks the win. I do think the Vikings can win it, but rip. So next, they play the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And since it's in Tampa Bay, and it's Tom Brady, and they got Gronkowski, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, a good defense, I'm going to give the Buccaneers the win. I do think the Buccaneers earlier in the season might not be that good. So if this game is early, week 1 through 3, and the Vikings play them week 1 through 3, the Vikings will win. But it's all up to the date of this game. So if it's later in the season, any time past that, honestly, I think the Vikings are going to lose to the Buccaneers. So that is honestly not the best road record, but their home games are so easy that this whole thing, this record right here, it's going to flip right around. So let's get into it. So they play the Bears at home, and I do believe that they're going to get the W against the Bears. I think they're going to sweep the Bears next season because Nick Foles and Trubisky, they don't play good. I know Nick Foles is a beast for the Eagles, but not for the Bears, not for the Jaguars. So we'll see. I don't think the Bears are going to be that great next season. Not a good team. We'll see. Vikings win. So next, they're going to get their revenge against the Detroit Lions at home. Like every season, I believe the home team in any of these matchups should be favored, except for last year's Lions, of course. But I'm going to have to give the Vikings the win over the Lions. Not really a hard pick since it's in Minnesota. It doesn't really matter if the Lions win this game. I think this series is going to be 1-1. So sticking with that, I think the Lions are going to be decent, but Minnesota's going to be a lot better than the Lions. Choke on the road against them, but win at home. So yeah, easy win for the Vikings. So next, we have not seen this in a fair good time. Maybe I'm wrong, but Minnesota beating the Packers. Packers just outplay them sometimes. We'll see. But I do believe Minnesota's going to win this game. It is at home. Packers, they were really lucky last year, in my opinion, with their schedule and their record. They went 13-3, did not have a hard schedule because they played the NFC East. I think they played the AFC West, which wasn't really that good except the Chiefs. And their other two games were against bad teams. And I do think the Vikings can win their division, but we'll see. So I do think the Vikings are going to win this game. So next, they play the Atlanta Falcons at home. Atlanta Falcons, I predicted them to have one of the worst records in the league. I think they're going to end up 5th or 6th worst team record-wise next year. We'll see. I don't think the Falcons are good, and especially with that running back that's injured. Todd Gurley. No Austin Hooper. He's gone to the Browns. Matt Ryan's a choke machine. Easy win for the Vikings. So next, they play the Panthers at home. Obviously, this team is not good anymore. Teddy Bridgewater's their starting QB, and Christian McCaffrey's really good. But besides that, can't really name any more notable players. Their defense, Luke Kuechly's retired, nothing there. Horrible defense. I think they let up the second most amount of points last season, or got outscored by the second most amount last season. Pretty bad. Easy win for the Vikings. Another very, very easy one against the Jacksonville Jaguars. I think, honestly, this team is going to be the worst team in the NFL next year. Literally have the worst record. I don't even want to do a prediction video on them because they're just so bad. So, yeah, easy win for the Vikings. No doubt about it. So, these next two games are going to be really good ones. They play the Tennessee Titans at home. And I do think Tennessee is going to be really good next season. But in my Titans video, I said that they're going to lose to the Vikings. So, I'm going to go with that. I do think the Vikings and the Tennessee Titans, I think the Titans are better than them. But just because it's in Indianapolis and home field advantage plays a critical role in every matchup, I do think the Vikings are going to get the W against the Titans. Like I said before, I think the Titans are going to be really good, and I expect them to ball out against the Vikings. Probably, maybe upset, but I don't think so. It's in Minnesota. Win for the Vikings. And the last home game of the season is against the Dallas Cowboys. So this happened last year, and the Vikings absolutely clapped the Cowboys in Dallas. It was really funny to watch Kirk Cousins get his revenge against his old division rival. And I do expect Kirk Cousins to repeat the W. So handing that win to the Vikings and ending up with the same record as last year, as 10-6. And this is going to be a good record for the Vikings. And I do expect them to make the playoffs. Maybe get the 5th or 6th seed, probably the 6th seed, just because Tom Brady's Buccaneers are probably going to get the 5th seed. So, good luck to the Vikings. Your division is easily up for grabs next season, just because I don't believe in the Packers. So, you can win. We'll see. Good luck. GG. That's it. Adios.